Welcome to the video. In this one, I just wanted to really take the time to address and talk about the reality of burnout, and it sucks. And so I wanted to really give my take on it. Use this video as a nice life update.
Oh shit, here we go again.
There are definitely some new things, crazy things going on, beyond just the typical YouTuber, oh, it's been a while and life is so hard and the complaint sort of stuff. I really just want to be real in this video and to share again just how I see that I've been burning the candle from both ends and the ways in which I am trying to implement some sort of a solution for burnout, because I see a lot of value in being able to identify like, oh, I'm burning out, I'm close to burnout, shoot, what can I do?
Stop it. Get some help.
Yeah, sit back, relax, and let's talk about burnout. Currently, I'm reading through a book called Essentialism, and basically the approach that it takes, it's by author Greg McKeown, to give him credit. It basically instructs us to figure out what's most important in our lives, narrow those items down, and then say no to everything else. Sounds kind of extreme.
Do it.
And for those who are privileged enough to do that, who might have better financial positioning than you or me, who might have more opportunities available at the moment than you or me. But really, when you read the book, and when you take some time to think about it, about what's important in your life, a lot of the principles really do ring true regardless of your life circumstances. The first and most important step to identifying burnout and avoiding it is to just simply take inventory. Take an objective look of what your day looks like, your weeks look like, your months, years even. To take a little quote from the book, if you don't have enough time to stop and think, then you're simply too busy and you gotta start narrowing things down. So what I did is I just tried to take a look at all the things that I'm currently doing, active projects, things that are on my mind, daily habits I'm trying to build in, routines and whatnot, and altogether, I am doing a lot. Right now, I've been putting a ton of hours and work into a short film. We did pre-production and really hammered things out in that phase. We shot the entire short film in a week, and then now I'm in the post-production process, trying to get things to look the way that I want them to, along with the director. A few days ago, I just got the call to be on American Ninja Warrior Season 13. I'm competing as an athlete for the second time on NBC's television show. And so now I'm training 6 days a week, trying to build the strength, build my calluses, get ready for competing on the show to just do well and make a name for myself there. Thank you to all of those who have been so supportive and congratulative towards me on that. I'm really excited. Furthermore, I'm volunteering my time as a videographer with an adoption resource company that helps Korean adoptees. I'm doing video podcasts for a guy. I'm shooting YouTube videos for this awesome channel called Freedom Fighters. I'll link them in the iCard right here. I'm making music videos, doing a set of 6 music videos within the next couple months. I'm filming and doing contract work for a nonprofit organization called Pulse Outreach. Trying to book as many weddings for the summer that I can, looking for internships, doing schoolwork, in a very committed relationship for over 2 years, trying to read my Bible every day and build new morning routine habits and evening routine habits. Obviously, you gotta get enough time to play Warzone with the boys. There's just so much going on right now. And so with step number 2, the next thing that you wanna look at is taking an unbiased look at all of the things that you do have on your plate and then sort of ranking them and determining what would you do, like how much those things are worth to you. And this is covered in an entire chapter within that book, Essentialism. But to kind of simplify it, think about if you weren't currently doing these things, how much would you value them? You know, what sort of sacrifices would you make to get those gigs, to get those projects, to do the hobbies or the activities that you're currently doing if you weren't doing them already? Because when we have ownership of something, when something's current, when it's active, when we're in it and invested in it, we are willing to take so much more of a beating when it comes to maintaining ownership of that item or that hobby or project. So what I'm asking you to do and what I had to do myself is to take inventory and then pretend that you have no ownership in it. Pretend that you have no stake in it. You've done no work, made no sacrifices thus far for that thing that you're trying to kind of scale and measure. For example, what would I do to get on American Ninja Warrior Season 13? If I hadn't already gotten the call, what would I do? Would that be something that I would work hard for? The answer is yes. On the opposite side of that spectrum, what would I do to, oh gosh, I don't want to I don't want to roast anybody. I was filming weekly church services for this organization. We had talked about me getting paid for it and potentially just doing it for some, a little stipend on the side. And then ultimately they're like, no, we can't pay you, so you're gonna have to do this for free. And so I kind of used this approach, and I thought, what would I do? What sort of sacrifices would I make, or how hard would I want to work to get the gig of shooting church services for free? And volunteer work's great. It can be a whole separate category, but when you're spreading yourself too thin, when you're on the edge of burning out, you're doing a massive disservice to yourself and to the people that you're spending your time and resources working with, because you're not giving them your A game. You're not doing your best. Your mind is somewhere else. You're worried about all these different things, and it's unfair to you and the client. So in that context, what would I do to further myself towards burnout while getting paid nothing to shoot, these weekly church services? And the answer was pretty simple. I just don't have time for it right now, and I'm not willing to, make those big sacrifices and take those risks of, burning out and hating videography for the rest of my life, just to do those weekly services to help camera operate. And that leads us to the next step number 3, of narrowing down your priorities. So many times when people make a priorities list, they've got like 10 to 20 items on there. But when it really comes down to the word of priority, it's not about that many items. It's about like 1, 2, 3, I would say 3 to 5 tops is what a priority list should look like, because then it really helps you to narrow things down and to use that as criteria for, should I be doing this? Should I be saying yes to this or not? Is it not worth my time? And will it just get me one step closer to burning out and to feeling stressed and to being stretched thin? So, for example, my criterion have been things like spending time with those who matter to me, taking time to be creative, not have 50 deadlines going on at the same time, so that I can actually think and breathe and meditate on ideas that I want to develop and learn, so that I can actually get better as a videographer and learn new skills. And obviously there are two sides of an extreme that you can go to. You can, be hustling, doing projects every single day, having a different project you have to shoot, edit, or deliver. And then you have no time to breathe, to think, to learn new skills, to get new gear, to research things. And conversely, you can be on the opposite end of not having any work volume and having too much time just to sit on your ass and not produce, not create, not learn. And so my goal with, I guess, my free time and with my me time is to find a nice in-between on that sort of spectrum. So that would be kind of my second main priority, is to giving myself time to think, to even be bored, because let's be real, how often are you bored now that you have a phone, now that you have all these apps and texting abilities, a computer, video game consoles? How often are you bored? And so that's kind of my goal, is to be more bored.
What?
And because boredom really breeds creativity, in my opinion, spending time in nature, things like that. That leads me to my next priority of having hobbies outside of just videography and photo work. So doing things like Ninja Warrior is a great fuel for that fire. So I'd be curious to hear your guys' if you could narrow things down to 3 priorities. I guess I have a 4th one. Yeah. Schoolwork, graduating on time, making sure that I do all my school requirements for college. But yeah, again, I'm really curious to hear what your guys' priorities were, if you could narrow them down to only 3 to 5 things. I'm actually really curious to see what those would be in the comment section below. Step number 4, within kind of decluttering your personal work life, setting those life boundaries and preventing burnout, would be to, it's the hardest part, start saying no and uncommitting to things.
No, God!
Currently, I've really done kind of a big decluttering phase in terms of that, and it feels really good. I've said no to doing any more video podcasts. I've said no to shooting this other channel, YouTube videos, to make more time for me to train, to make videos like these, because I really do love making YouTube videos. It really helps me creatively because I get to try new things. I get to do things at my own pace, and I get to be creative ultimately. I've stepped down from the Bethel student government videographer position. I'm gonna apply some harsher criteria of when it comes to accepting new projects, like, does this excite the heck out of me? Is this actually a project that I really think aligns with who I am as a videographer and as a shooter? And if there's a sliver of doubt, if it's like, no, not fully, but if I, use this opportunity to advance my portfolio. No, I'm not even going to get myself caught up in that loop. I'm just going to say no, because so many times we let the fear of missing out get in the way of us doing projects we care about and ultimately that we can do a good job on. Because if you don't care, you're not going to do a good job. I've set boundaries within volunteering my time for videography, just making sure that I'm being more intentional and allowing the time that I do spend with them to be 100% there. I'm 100% committed. I'm in, and I don't extend myself and feel like I'm getting taken advantage of or burning out. That's when the work becomes work and it's not enjoyable anymore. I already did kind of touch on number 5 previously, but the 5th step is to apply harsh criteria for the things that you do say yes to. For example, if you go to a really nice restaurant and the server comes over, he brings a menu in front of you, what are you going to order? Are you going to order something that looks bland to you? Are you going to order something that doesn't really, spike your appetite, that doesn't get your mouth watering? No, because you'd be wasting your time, your money, and the dining experience on bad, crappy food. And sure, when it comes to, a fancy restaurant and menus, there are tons of food options. There are so many things to select from. And in your life, you may not feel like at the moment you don't have all those options that a restaurant menu might, and that you feel like this is the only option that you have in front of you. But if you are able to orient your mindset into a longer term focus, then you'll realize really quickly that's just untrue and you're not being realistic. You're just afraid to miss out on what this one crappy opportunity can do for you, even though 9 times out of 10 it's going to end up leading you nowhere. And for those of you who do have tons of opportunities in front of you, just like a restaurant menu, and you can say no to things and just select one thing that you're actually interested in trying, well then good for you. You're at a really good place and this analogy works for you. But regardless of your opportunity scenario, how many options you have in front of you, you got to really narrow down that criteria. And if the project doesn't excite you, just like if a 16-ounce steak on the menu is the only thing that excites you and that piques your appetite, go for that steak and go for that one opportunity that you think is going to be worth your time, your effort, your resources, your skills, and say no to everything else. Again, it's not absolutist. You don't have to do all these things. These are just some of the approaches that I think I'm going to really try and be intentional about and mindful of going forward into who I am as a professional, because that is really important to me, is portraying myself as, a high quality videographer, someone who cares about the clients that he works with, someone who invests his time, skills, and resources and talents into that client to make sure that their story gets told. And so if that sounds like something that you want to, buy into, or someone that you want to be professionally, or even just relationally, then I urge you to consider kind of these 5 main criteria, and even to read the book Essentialism by Greg McKeown. It's not sponsored by him, the book, the publishing company, anything. I don't get anything out of it. I just know how close to burnout I was getting, and I guess I still am getting, because I haven't narrowed things down perfectly, and I don't want that to be your scenario. So again, the book is just going to be linked in the description below. And thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this one. I think that going through things that are real, like burnout, like toxic side of hustle culture, is very important, and it's an area in culture that needs to have a light shined on it. So thank you for spending your time with me. Really appreciate you guys. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel if you have not yet already. And be sure to hit the notification bell icon to get notified whenever I make future uploads. We'll see you in the next video, guys. Peace.